Good. You're all good. Cool. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight so we can tell everybody how you start to work out, basically, like how we get off the couch and how we start a 5K or strength train or whatever it is that we want. Because, it's just after the new year. And tell me if I'm, alone in this, but I remember the days where I always was making a New Year's resolution to start exercising again and signing up for some big, huge thing again, over and over and over again. But then for a couple weeks later, a couple months later, to then have it sort of crash and burn. But you two have been, how long have you been running with us so far?
A year and a half, I think, for me.
And it's been less than a year for me. I started in April, I think, of last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. And you guys are here to help me talk to anybody who is going to come on today and who wants to know about how you start that, how you sustain it, what it's like, how to push through resistance. Because what I want to really give value today is for people to see, like regular people like us who have what it takes to be able to show up and to get it done and to do it even when it's not easy. And particularly even when sometimes it feels even kind of lonely. So you two are local and you join us, but you see our virtual posters all the time. We've got Stephanie in California. Now she's going to train from Spain. I've got new member Chris Williams, who's training from North Carolina. And I've had people all over join us virtually, even people who are local post virtually all the time, and without even joining us all the time. So it is possible. And for anybody who's listening, I want you to know that's possible for you too. So before I invite Yamor and Erica to talk a little bit more about their experience, I just want to tell you a little bit more about me. I didn't always see myself as a runner. I ran a little bit when I was in middle school. I ran during basketball. I was the slowest kid on the team for sure. I started wanting to run more really as a weight loss strategy, which I will tell you, and in my blog on my website was my biggest mistake. So I'll tell you more about why that didn't work for me and what works instead another time. But when I thought about running as my path to weight loss alone, it was hard to sustain. It was frustrating. And I found myself really not enjoying it as much as I could when I took the emphasis off of how am I going to lose weight through running versus how am I going to run as a part of my life in order to feel good in my body overall. And it wasn't until I dropped those limiting beliefs that I was doing it for this one thing. And then I made it about everything, which is what we talk about all the time, right? Like, how is this a part of our lives? Why do we show up? How does it fill us up? Which is so much more important than the weight loss piece, which can certainly be a result, but not necessarily the why. And so one of the things that happened to me when I decided to get back in running after my second child was that every time I went back out trying to run the same way that I'd always run before, I was in extreme pain, hip pain, back pain, like everything was falling apart. What about you guys? Did you have that experience? I know both of you are moms. Like, you tried to go back out and exercise again. You're like, everything's falling apart.
I couldn't have time. That was my big deal, but it was an excuse, it turns out. Not that it's a new me. I know that it was an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So no time, right? Either everything's falling apart, my body's not the same, there's no time. What else, Erica? What about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, my endurance and like my body just was different. I had more pounds. I was carrying things in different places. My muscles had changed. So I just wasn't able to run the same way that I did before. And that constant feeling of like, I'm trying this and failing just kind of was a self-fulfilling prophecy. I just wouldn't stay in it.
Yeah, exactly. Self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm trying this and I'm failing. And so what do? We dig for something new. We dig for the 21-day fix. We dig for the other exercise program. We find a new thing. And we forget that the reason why we actually want to do this is actually so that we can feel human again. So in whatever way, but many of us attach that humanness to losing weight or to, finishing the 5K by running it straight through. And I'll tell you, as a person who's trained for marathons before, not in the right way, not respecting my body, feeling like if I don't run it straight through, then I'm not good enough, failed me over and over again, led to knee problems. I blew out my knee twice. I ran a half marathon with a brace. No, a marathon with a brace on my knee. I took my shoes off in the last 2 miles. Like, it wasn't right. And why? Because I was following a calendar. And I was trying to do what the calendar said all of the time. And so what we do is hashtag, we do what we want. Why? Because what we want is best. And we know what we want is best when it's in alignment with ourselves when we're running. And that's how following an app step by step is different than having the support from a community or a coach who knows a lot about mindset and the holistic way that we need to be with ourselves in order to accomplish a goal. And that doesn't have to be straight through. And it can be with love and compassion for self. And it can start as early as right after this call. For those of you who are watching, you could go out and do it today. So that's a little bit of my story with running. How did I get into being a professional with it? I decided that I was going to be a professional, do what we want runner, not a professional fast as I can runner. And as a result, we've built a community together where we go out, we say, what do we want? What's possible for us? We partner up, we group up, and locally that's become a really special core component of what has actually influenced women, not just here or in the state or in New York or in the country, but also in the world. So thank you, Yamor and Erica, from the bottom of my heart for being a part of something that has moved people all over. We were featured in the New York Times. Thank you to Farah Miller. And it's a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. So I want to invite Erica and Yamor to talk a little bit about why they started and how they continued or what surprised them about starting this program. Either of you can start if you feel moved. We've got 5 people watching who, don't worry, you guys, you will have time for questions. Right now, I just want you to get to know us. And if anything here resonates with you, you can let us know in the comments. Oh, wow, that sounds like me. So go for it. Yamor, do you want to start?
Sure. I think that Erica and I will have different stories, which is going to be really colorful. I've never been a runner, whereas Erica, I hear that she's run before. And for me, how it started is after the second kid and with COVID, I realized that I had to do something. I always wanted to do and have done workouts, but never ran. In fact, every time I speak in smaller groups about my experience, I've always said I don't like running at all, or did not, because though I love it, that's a total transformation. And the first, I repeat this, but it's really funny to say, so I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. The first time I met with you, Helen, Wednesday, 6 a.m., the session's a year and a half ago, we were doing a small intro of the newbies. And I remember very vividly saying, hi, I'm Yamor. I hate running and I hate mornings. Just so you
and
know.
You were there anyway.
And I was there anyway, because I knew that this was something different. It felt different. The approach that you take, which is not strict, do what we want, feel your body, recognize, be aware, and just show up. Those are the things that really helped me during my journey. And I have literally become from couch to a 5K person. I also did energetic eating, for those of you watching with Helen. I did a double, an energetic meeting and running at the same time. And I didn't realize how much of a transformation it was going to be for me. Fast forward to a year and a half. Now my body actually aches and tells me to get out and run if I can't do it. And it's extra special to continue with the lovely ladies that we build community, and accountability also is amazing, because this group, running club or energy eating, anything, it has this accountability with all the lovely people that we are a part of. We go through this together. And at the end, we know that someone else is going to show up and they're going through their own hard times as well, but we will still be there. And at the end, it's going to feel great. So that's kind of my story.
Yeah. Amazing. Yamor, why do you show up?
For myself first. I learned that I need to feel good to be able to give back to my family, to my friends, and I show up for that. And health is very important. And I found this way, the running way, and being aware of what I eat and how I eat, and asking the questions. Another thing I learned from you, to be curious. What if this and what if that, and explore and be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Amazing. For those of you who are watching, who's won with that? Like, who wants to stop setting these goals? Like, I just want to run a 5K. And not to minimize that experience, but when you make it about your life, I want to give back to my family. I want to feel good. I want to walk around in this world like I'm taking care of myself because I actually know that that's really important and I'm doing it right now. And as a result, you want to continue to show up. Those of us who say I want to run a 5K, guess what? You run the 5K, then what? You're okay. That's fine. Guess what? What if you run 12 5Ks because your life is important enough? Because on a huge macro level, because you can, because it's available to your body. Remember, we did like 3 in a row on a weekends, and it wasn't because we were like, let's challenge ourselves. We were like, holy shit, wait a second. We just did 3 in a row. Why? There was no, it's just like, because, well, sure, because we can. So we want to be in that energy if I can, just because I can. And if I can't, you guys know, like half of the session, I was dealing with a foot thing. What did I do? I ran less. I still coached through. I walked more. Those of you who wanted to walk more with me walked more.
Mm-hmm.
We aren't perfect all the time. I'm certainly not. I'll be the first to say I'm dealing with this thing and this is how I'm dealing with it. Who's with me? We get to be
And
one with ourselves. It doesn't have to be, in fact, leveling up all the time instead of looking for consistency is what leads us to burnout. Yeah.
in fact, I did, I think, 6 or 7 5K so far and 1 10K. And when we meet on Saturday, sometimes we meet earlier with the ones who have been doing this for a while. Erica is definitely one of them. And we just run a 5K without saying, hey, we're going to run 5K. It just happens.
Yeah,
It's
it just
really, really
happens.
amazing.
You get to turn around or look at your thing and be like, oh, look at that. Who wants to go a little more? Like, it's so freeing to not be limited by the schedule, the calendar, or like what we think we should do. So, Erica, what's your story? Share with us.
Yeah, so I used to run. I mean, not I wasn't a marathoner or anything. I think the most I ran was a 10K before I had kids, and then I had kids, and I just fell completely out of a routine of exercise, and it was just all work, all kids, all the time, and my weight slowly crept up, and the pandemic came and it just kept creeping and creeping, and then it just hit kind of a breaking point where I stopped recognizing who I was both physically and emotionally, and I was like, I need to do something. I don't know what it is. I was never a dieter. I never did any of the trend diets. I never really, I mean, I would cut carbs here or there, you know, just because, but, you know, I never did like a diet or a routine. And so I put myself out there with like an anonymous post on Maplewood Moms looking for, like, I thought I was looking for like a 21-day boot camp, just like a one and done, just like take off the weight, like jumpstart me into something. And I somehow landed with Helen. Like, she just kept emailing me.
I'm like,
She kept emailing me, and I didn't know how to say no to her. So one day she was just like, just show up on Wednesday morning. And I'm a morning person, so it wasn't a big deal for me to roll out of bed. And I went to one of these running meetings, and I just loved it. You know, it was one of the early running days in the program. So it was like almost more walking than it was running at that point. So it felt low key for me, you know, but I just loved the women. I really just connected and felt like I had discovered something, and I didn't know what it was at the time. Yeah. And I just have stuck with it. You know, I continued to work with Helen, meeting with the women, you know, doing the runs 3 times a week. And then she like hooked me into strength. So now I'm doing the strength too. And I being in the group has changed my whole mindset in ways that I just wasn't expecting. It became no longer about the weight loss. I mean, I would love to continue to see weight loss and kind of see the person that I imagine myself to be. But it's so much like more than that. It's, you know, feeling good and inspiring and motivating and there's a real self-love component of it, which, you know, I'm still really working on. But being with these women is so empowering and inspiring. And it's changed the way, like, I do the running and I do the strength. I don't do the energetic eating method with Helen, but I get inspiration from the posts that I see. And I realized early on, I'm just not eating well. You know, I'm not eating, not just for the weight loss, but like, I'm not feeling good. Like, I'm gassy, I'm bloated. I'm like, you know, whatever I'm consuming is not getting along with my body. And so I just need to make changes. And so I don't do the program, but I've made very healthy changes in the way that I eat. And I feel like I come to it now from a place of, you know, I open up the fridge and I'm like, well, I shouldn't eat that because it's going to make me fat. Instead, I shouldn't eat that because I'm not going to feel good. It's not going to make me feel good physically and emotionally. And it's not going to achieve what I want it to, which is to, you know, like, solve the emotional things and the boredom, or like whatever has brought me to the fridge. So like, just being in this group has sort of empowered me in ways that I wasn't really expecting. And then I have the added bonus of, you know, now I can run again. And I was able to run a 10K earlier in the year, and I would love to train for a half marathon, not for the sake of training for the half marathon, Helen, but just because, you know, it's just, how do I take it to the next level?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we get to look for that next level because it brings us more joy, more satisfaction, for sure. Wow. So who's one with that? Who wants it to be more than a 5K? Who wants to eat better, sleep better, know themselves better, improve their lives, feel better overall, and swim in the pond of all of the things? Because I talk about a lot of things, but the programs I run, this 5 energetic way to 5K, energetic strength, and energetic eating method are the 3 main programs. Energetic eating is like all of it together. The other pieces we can do piece by piece, but no matter what, you're swimming in the same pond. I put everybody in the same group so we can influence each other. So you can ask me questions, and women who've been through energetic eating about the way that they've transformed their lives. Every week, they get an email from me that's a coaching email that has extra tips and tricks. You guys get invited to these special types of talks so that you can continue to be a part of it. This is about so much more than doing the thing. It is community, love, self-love, love of yourself, your community. How we share this together generates a vibration for the world. It really does. It really does. I get reach outs on Instagram all the time. People are like, how do you create like all this love? And I'm like, I don't know. It's the women who come in. It's you guys. You do that all of the time. And I'm so grateful because you keep me in alignment with myself too. So I just want to say thank you guys so much. So for those of you who are continuing to watch, thank you so much for sticking around for all of these stories. I'd like to know if you have any questions. I'm going to start to go through some logistical things along the way. I'm going to keep an eye on the questions that are below the video. I'll answer them as best I can while I go through logistics. And Erica and Yamor, if there's anything I say that seems like it's not completely correct or whatever, just chime in. So if you are local, once you sign up for the program, which is a program you can sign up from anywhere. Again, we have women training from any place. You can train on the days on your own. If you are local, you end up signing up, and then you sign up with what's called a local access pass. So that's a way of us getting your information and getting you to be able to be a part of the group. And I get your name, and you get put on a local thread so that you know about cancellations and things like that. Our meeting times, generally speaking, are Wednesday mornings at 6 a.m. at a place called Farrell Field. If you don't know where it is, I have a map for that. Saturday mornings, it's at the South Mountain Reservation. So again, for those of you who are local, and that's at 8 a.m. Once you finish the program, you get to become a basic member. And as a basic member, you get to join us for meetups, for community. You can continue to post in the Facebook group and have access to all the things you had access to before. So we really are building a community of women all over. It's not just like a one and done thing. If you would like to join strength training, that is a combination move, and you can absolutely do that. So the combination of the two programs ends up being less, or you could enroll in the energetic eating method, and then with my support over a period of 6 months, we integrate 5K and strength training with it. I see some questions here. Vibeke is still at work. She's trying to listen. Awesome. I've got Lindsay saying, are you doing a 10K group? And then, so I'll answer that question now. So this last winter, we did a 10K group where we were doing runs Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. This session, I'll invite us. I did make a 10K calendar. Mondays are going to be, we do what we want. We're going to freely post. Sometimes like I'll join you guys with that kind of stuff. Sometimes not. My plan is on Saturday mornings for the early mile to try to do more tempo runs, because I know that a part of your goals, and we'll talk about this in our goal setting meeting on Sunday, which anybody who joins is invited to, is going to be to create more strength, or maybe you want to go faster, or maybe you want to train more. So we get to do that, and we get to come up with that plan together. That's a perk of joining the program, is curating these types of things together. And we'll have that conversation on Sunday. When we train for a 10K, typically we follow the 10K app, which is an extension of the 5K app. Again, my program is not just an app, it's a holistic approach, but there's a very, very easy app that every single one of you who's watching can download right now. It's the Couch to 5K app by Active. It is like $4.99. It's so stinking easy, and you can choose this ridiculous cartoon character to guide you. Who's your cartoon character, you guys? Who do you pick?
Billy. She's
Billy.
like high energy.
Yeah, she's like Jillian Michaels as a cartoon character, right? You have the Runicorn or something, don't
Mine
you?
is the Runicorn, the obnoxious, loud unicorn, Runicorn.
Yeah. So you choose your avatar, whatever. And then as you progress through the program, you'll find the interval sets that are perfect for you, and you might love them. I also teach you how to program your intervals in Runkeeper, so you don't have to download that app. Runkeeper is my favorite interval setting program. It's also free, so that's always available to you. The other question was from Lindsay. Erica, how did you have the stamina to do it last round? I feel like I want to, but I'm scared. She's talking about the 10K.
I just wanted to do it, and I showed up because I decided I wanted to. It was something I wanted, and I just enjoyed doing it. So I think that's the great thing about having you there to coach us, is there's always somebody to show up with you and to push you when you feel like you can't or don't want to do it, but really you can. I remember there was one run that it was just the two of us, Helen, and I was like, I'm done, I'm good. Halfway through the run, I just felt like I just wasn't feeling it, and somehow we just got through it. And that feeling of achieving each day is really rewarding, and I guess I thrived on that. I feel like I need it and I enjoy it, so I just keep doing it.
Yeah. And when we train the 10K, Lindsay, we only add mileage on Saturdays. So number one, during the week, we're not spending all of that extra time in the morning and worried about that, which is something that when I was training for halves and merit, it was like having children. I don't have that kind of time. 10K, really the program that we did, where we did tempo runs to be able to increase endurance, and then only 2-mile runs on Wednesdays, and then the long runs on Saturdays, just it worked for most of us. And you don't have to be scared. And you know what they say, wherever you're afraid, run right towards it. So I'm thinking you're going to run a 10K right through fear, Lindsay. How about it?
It's also not like you wake up one day and you're like, oh, I'm going to run a 10K. You progressively get stronger and add those miles, and once you run a certain distance, you know that you can run just a little bit more, and then before you realize it, you've run 6 miles. Like you maybe feel kind of heavy in the first mile, and then mile 2 you kind of get your stride, and then in mile 3 you're sort of like, oh, I don't know, but I only have 1 more to go, and I know I can do 1.
Yeah.
So you just kind of like, it's like a mindset push that you build up over time and work towards. And I think that's why it's not 5K to 5K, it's couch to 5K. You're literally starting at nothing. You're literally spending the whole time just, like walking with a teeny tiny little bit of running, because that's what you can do and you can achieve that. And once you can achieve, you feel like, oh, I can do anything. I could do the next little bit, and you do it and you add up just a little bit more. So I feel like it's a progressive thing that builds up.
Yeah. Yeah,
I would
more. I
add,
know that you have just like a couple minutes, about 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Did you want to add something?
I would add for the 10K we did together, and thanks to Erica, we did it in an amazing Jersey City view, which was New York Manhattan view that added up to our endorphins. I think it was a lot of practice together. And then, like Erica said, running and running and running, after a while, your body really gets used to running the 5K, and then you add a little and you add a little. I think by the time we were running 10K, most of us were comfortable maybe 8K. No, at least for a few of us.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do the 10K. And because we were together, because it was the right place, because we were with Helen, and because we were so hyped with all those endorphins, the last 2 miles felt like nothing because it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And it happened.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I didn't finish the 10K, right? I did 5K. And it's okay. Nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
I lived another day and I'm still coaching. And by the way, you guys, again, for those of you who are listening, my whole thing is I rotate through this 3 or 4 times a year, couch to 5K. Adding a 10K was brand new. That was a brand new thing that we did in this winter. So we're always rotating through and just doing what we want. And many people love going back to that first day one, week one, day one. I know I love it. Feels so good. So we get to honor our bodies in that way. And the fact that we have so many people in the group, there's always someone who's looking forward, trying to do something that you're doing, even if it's walking, right? How many people were injured and ended up just coming and just using the group as their accountability to walk if they're recovering from injury? That, also including me. But speaking of injury, one of the ways to help yourself avoid injury is through strength training. So if you want to talk more about strength training, you guys can definitely talk to me about it. And anybody who's here, in just a couple minutes, I'm going to share with you 6 weeks to couch to 5K, which is my full guide, by the way, with clickable videos. So if you want to try it on your own, you can absolutely access the guide. You could follow the steps to do it. It'll get you through 6 weeks. And the second 6 weeks, just keep following the app. And you'll also get 4 strength training classes from me to try on your own. But what we want more than anything is not just for you to start, but to be able to sustain it and to be able to see the content that's in there and join our group. Because what really helps us show up is seeing that somebody else says so. I'll tell you, on Monday, I was still on vacation. I see everybody's posts coming through, week 1, day 1, like first person in who wrote in was a brand new client, brand new. She's in Croatia, this person. And she posts and she's like, week 1, day 1, done. It felt great. I'm like, I got to go. I have to do it. So with my bare feet, I just ran down the beach and I did week 1, day 1. And I gave my, like I could do 3 miles, but I said, I'm gonna do week 1, day 1. And it was perfect. This is the thing. We don't know what's perfect until number 1, we try and we let ourselves have an experience that feels good. Stop saying it has to be. Now that I've run a 5K, it always has to be that way. Or for those of you who were college or high school athletes, we have a lot of athletes that join and they're like, oh, well, it's hard because I'm not like I used to. So don't be like you used to, be like new you and be freaking better. I ran a marathon. I am 1,000% healthier, better, happier, stronger right now today than I was when I ran a marathon 10 years ago. 100%. And I run couch to 5Ks every year. So stop looking for more and just be closer to yourself. That's my biggest thing. Lindsay said, sorry, Elmore, you did it too. You are amazing. She wanted to give you accolades for your 10K. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and share the link to the 2 resources that I have for you guys. This is the couch to 5K and the strength training. freebie. I'm going to go ahead and put them in the comments. Anybody who's watching, Sarah Burns said, I really liked starting over this week at week 1. See, I love week 1 too. I really do, because then you could even do week 1 and then skip ahead to week 4. And this is the kind of language that we use with each other, right, guys? It's like, what are you doing? Oh, week 1, day 1. And we all kind of know what that means ish, right? We don't really talk in miles so much. We're not like, oh, 3 miles at a 9:30 pace. We're like, yeah, week 4, day 2. It's like our secret language. Any other closing things that you guys would like to share or say to anybody who's watching, who might be new, who might be worried about time, like time constraints, or, leaving your kids at home? That's such a huge one.
I think for me, that's why I like that it's so early in the morning. Nobody in my house is up when I leave. I get home and they're just getting up. I also, work with my husband. Like, he's a very supportive partner. So, I'm lucky in that respect. So when I need to take the time out for myself, he kind of is there to take care of the children. That certainly helps. But this was the year I decided I'm putting me first. And that was really hard because I put everybody else first. I put my children first. I put my family first. And I did it at the expense of myself. And if this is the one thing that was making me feel whole again, then I had to figure out how to make it work. So luckily I work from home now. That really helps. I know, but not everybody does. And I know, a lot of people in the group will come to the run at 6 a.m. and then peel off early because they have to catch a train. I mean, you kind of have to figure out the logistics of how to shower, but people make it work because it's important. And if you miss the 6 a.m., then you find another time to do it. There were days where I was working out after dinner, which I hate to do because I got all this stuff moving around, but I felt really good when I was done. I got it done and it made me healthier. So I was really surprised that I was able to squeeze it in, because I've always been no more, I'm at my breaking point. But this was really important.
Yeah. Give yourself permission to make it happen anyway. So catch the early train. So leave the group early. So catch the replay later. So let yourself be tired and do the first 15 minutes of strength, where we're just doing some breathing, intention setting, and some stretching. Allow yourself to have an experience. Allow yourself to have an experience. And I love that, Erica. At the cost of myself, I was not doing this. It wasn't even about your kid. Those are the things that we say. We're like, oh, it's going to affect everybody else. But those are the stories that we tell ourselves because we're afraid to do something. Oh, yeah, More, I think I see you talking, but I don't know if I hear your audio. Try again, Mama.
There you go. I had a few mind obstacles. One of them, maybe you're hearing in the background, was my 2.5, 3-year-old at the time. He's now 4.5, 5. And I used to think, oh my God, he's attached. He comes in the mornings. He's an early person. How am I going to leave him? But at some point, at first it was very difficult, but when I first started doing it, he, at that age, learned that, hey, it's mommy's running time. Mm-hmm. It's important for her, and it's okay. And now he really respects my running time. And sometimes he comes and says, I want to come with you. And I said, no, it's not a time. We will run some other time, but this is my time with my ladies, and we're going to do this. That was one of the things that I learned with you, obviously, to allow yourself to do. And then I'm a black and white person. So if I didn't finish something completely, I would hate myself. So I learned I did all of the three, the energetic eating, the strength training, and the running. I learned through all of this experience. It's okay if you're not perfect, just do it. And eventually it's going to come together. And my last obstacle was I didn't even know how to run by myself, which was the Monday accountability. And I started peering up with other women just to be able to do it. And then once my body learned, once I went through the cycle and felt that runner's high with my AirPods and everything, now it's really fun to run alone as well. So I had to teach myself that too.
Yeah, for sure. Some people need to teach themselves how to run in a group, and some people need to teach themselves how to run on their own. Lindsay said her son always asks, who did I see on the run? Yeah, he always does. Sarah says, thanks for sharing. Y'all are awesome and inspire me all of the time. And for me and my kids who are now 7 and 10, they get themselves up in the morning. I have them set an alarm. They get themselves up before I even finish my run, and they're up by the time I get home dressed. Like it's a deal that we make with each other. I let them pick out a menu for breakfast, like of 3 things. I make sure it's done before I get back for my run, and from my run, and I make it really fun for them to be able to come downstairs. Look who it is! See, Boaz.
Say hi.
I got ya, but
Oh yeah, I got ya, but is that what he said? Yeah, my kids are opting out of this live. They're watching TV inside. It's fine. So anyway, thank you guys so much. It's such an honor to coach you, to run with you, and to call you my friends. So I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your vulnerabilities and your stories with anybody who might be interested in having a similar experience, and with the 5K program, strength or energetic eating, anything that they may be interested in.
Thanks,